Hi everyone. Today I wanted to do the books I read in August. I read about 10 books. I have been getting into audiobooks. So a lot of these are audiobooks. I just find it really convenient to keep listening to them in the car and just around the house. So yeah. So the first couple ones are ones that I've done on audio, and the first one is Dear Mr. Knightley by Catherine Ray. This is a story about a girl, and she gets a scholarship to a school, and one of the contingencies of the scholarship is that she writes to one of the people on the board, sending him letters. And she asks, and the person who she's addressing these letters to is Mr. Knightley, so Jane Austen. And so she has had like a very dark past. She was abused as a child, and just a lot of just the foster system, and then the people around her, just very dark. But through these letters, she's able to kind of talk her way, analyze the stuff that's happened to her within her life. So I found it very good. It's a fiction book. There is romance, but not as much as I thought there would be, which was kind of nice because it made you get to know the character more. At first, the main character, I didn't like her in the beginning, but then as the book went on and you got to know her and she changed, then I got to like her better. One thing that she does is that she will talk to people with quotes from books. So if she's mad at someone, she'll tell a quote from a book, or if she's happy, she'll say a quote from a book. And it starts getting her friends annoyed because they're like, we want to know you. What do you really think? So she kind of has to get out of always quoting books, but I like that aspect of it because there were so many classic books that she quoted from. So I actually really enjoyed this book. I would definitely give it a 3 or 4 stars out of 5. The next couple books are adult books, and the first one is The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney. I heard this on audio, and this is it's a thriller, and it's about a gal who moves into a house, and she starts noticing weird things about the house and about the owner. And the book goes through 2 perspectives, her perspective, Jane, and the perspective of the person who lived there before, Emma. And things start happening in both their lives that kind of mirror each other. And there's murder, intrigue. So it was pretty good. There was a couple parts that I skimmed over, but yeah, overall it was pretty good. The ending, I would have changed a little bit, but yeah, that's just me. The next one is The Hating Game, this by Sally Thorne. It's kind of a romantic chick flick type of book about these 2 co-workers who are up for the same promotion, and they just hate each other. A trope I love is the hate to love relationship, and this definitely has that. And even the line on the book says he's the one she loves to hate. So then they kind of get to know each other, even though they're both up for the same promotion. What happens? So I thought it was a pretty fun book. I would give it 3 or 4 stars out of 5. The next one I read is Christina Lauren's Roomies. And this is about a story about a girl, and she sees a guitar player on the subway, and she kind of gets a crush on him. Just years and years and years, or not years and years, but just like time passes and she keeps like watching and he keeps playing. And one day there's an accident at the subway and he kind of helps her. And she finds out that he needs a green card. And because she has a crush on him, she's like, well, I'll marry you. And so he's like, okay. And so they get married, and it's just like them getting to know each other and them actually falling in love. I would give this a 3 stars out of 5. It was definitely a fun, quick read. There's a couple things, just kind of outlandish things that you go, okay, I don't know if that would happen in real life. But it was definitely an entertaining read. So those were some of the ones I did on audio. Another one I did on audio was The Girls at the Kingsfisher Club by Genevieve Valentine. And this is a retelling of The 12 Dancing Princesses. And the story takes place during the 1920s. So these girls, their dad is just very controlling, and he has 12 daughters, but he's so controlling he doesn't want them to leave the house. But every night they go to these speakeasies and dance the night away. And it kind of follows the oldest sister, Jo, and her falling in love with one of the people at the speakeasies and him finding out like what happened. So like the fairy tale, but I thought this was pretty good. It was very lyrical at points, that I had to like re-listen to that section, but overall I enjoyed it. 3 stars out of 5. Another one that I read was Sea Witch by Sarah Henning. The little tagline is, before she took the mermaid's voice, she gave up her own heart. So this is kind of like the backstory of the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid. And I really liked it. It's sad, but if you know the story of The Little Mermaid, it's sad. And, but just giving the background, and it was really well written, so I think that's why the sad parts, I was like, okay, I can deal with that. But yeah, and then just how it all comes around and how she becomes a sea witch was really good. Yeah, as you can see, I definitely like fairy tale retellings. The next one I read was Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a series that I wanted to start reading, Naomi Novik's kind of fairy tale series. This is kind of a mush-up of several fairy tales to make a different fairy tale. This is a story of Agnieszka, and there's this curse on the town that a wizard will have to choose one daughter every 10 years to go live with him in his castle. And she doesn't think she'll get picked, but she gets picked, and she starts to learn magic. And then there's this like evil force attacking the villages. So her and the wizard have to work together to fight this evil that's coming. It's kind of a mix between Rapunzel and Beauty and the Beast, I found. So if you put those together, then you kind of get this story. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It took me a little while to get into her writing because it is very lyrical and descriptive, but I definitely enjoyed this. I'd give this like a 4 stars out of 5. Another one I read was Daughter of the Siren Queen by Tricia Levenseller. This is the second book in her Daughter series, so Daughter of the Pirate King, Daughter of the Siren Queen. And it leaves off exactly where the first book, it starts where the first book left off, and of a girl named Melosha, and she's trying to find this map for her father where this big treasure is. So she finds the map at the end of the first book, and then she goes to give it to her father at the beginning of this book, but she finds that her father betrays her. So she is like, you know what, if my dad's betraying me, I'm going to go get that treasure for myself. So she and her dad are like trying to get this this treasure, and then she finds out more clues about her mom and where her mom is and all that. I like the ending. It was really good. I like duologies. I keep saying that I need to do a video on duologies because there's been a lot that I like. So yeah, this was a good one. I'd probably give it a 3 stars out of 5. The next one I read was A Map for Wrecked Girls by Jessica Taylor. This is a story about 2 girls who get shipwrecked on an island, and something has happened between the 2 girls, and that their relationship has been broken, fractured. So half the book is what's happening to them on the island, and the other half of the book is kind of in the past and tells like what happened. I kept having to remind myself that these are teenagers and they make bad choices when I kept reading this, because a lot of the stuff that the girls got mad at were stuff that, if you think about it, it's like, why get mad at this? Like, this is a bad decision. Yeah. So it was entertaining, but kind of lacked for me in that aspect. One of the characters is named Emma, so I did like that. So there's that one. Another book I read was Jennifer E. Smith, You Are Here. This is a story about another girl named Emma. Whenever I see a book with a person named Emma, I want to read it. And she goes on a road trip to find out some of her family history. And she goes with a boy named Peter. And then they fall for each other on this trip. I like Jennifer E. Smith's books. There's a couple that I read that I just really enjoyed. Windfall. I liked Windfall. There's one about happiness, like This Is What Happiness Looks Like. But I did not enjoy this one. It was like, there was the trip of like insta-love, but that didn't happen till like the last fourth of the book. So that got annoying. So where you see no chemistry between the characters until the last fourth of the book, and then they're supposed to fall in love, that just didn't get me. So I kind of had a hard time. I kept waiting for them to like have a cute scene together. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why they fall in love, but I didn't get that in this one. So this might be going in an unhaul, but yeah. And the last book I did on audio, but I forgot about it, was Lost in a Good Book by Jasper Fedor. This is a Thursday Next novel, and Thursday Next is a girl who can jump into books and just interact with the characters. And in this one, her husband has been eradicated. He's disappeared. So she has to jump into different books to find out like what happened and to rescue him. So she goes into like Great Expectations. Miss Havisham becomes like her mentor. She goes into The Raven. There's a scene where she goes into Sense and Sensibility. I like that scene for her to find her husband. This is kind of a fantasy sci-fi. It's a very interesting book because, like, in our world, there's, like, different creatures, but they're part of our world now. She can jump into books. Definitely entertaining, if you like that. I would give this a 3 or 4 stars out of 5. Yeah, so Thursday Next. So those were all the books that I read in August. Like I said, a lot of audiobooks. What are some of the best books that you read in August? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.